Mary's heart pounded with excitement as Bobby went on one knee before her. The warm evening air carried the sound of her joyful shouts. "Yes, I will marry you!" echoing across the restaurant where he had just proposed. Bobby's face lit up with happiness, and he pulled her into a tight embrace. The other diners clapped, some taking pictures, others murmuring words of admiration. It felt like a dream, too good to be true. Mary's love story was nothing short of a Cinderella tale. She came from a humble background. Bobby, on the other hand, was from a wealthy family and had wealth of his own. Their paths crossed at the university when she was in her first year and he was in his final year. He was kind, charming, and too good to ignore, so Mary found herself spending more time with him. She saw their relationship as a campus romance that would end the moment he graduated. At first, it seemed like she was right. Bobby traveled abroad for his master's and PhD after his graduation. They kept in touch, but gradually, the calls and messages became scarce. Life went on. She focused on her studies, graduated, and secured a job as a pharmacist in a hospital. But one evening, her phone rang, and when she picked up, a deep, familiar voice greeted her. "Mary, it's me, Bobby." A long pause and quietness followed as Mary tried to take it in. Then she asked, like Bobby Dimgba? "Yes, the one, the only, baby girl." She immediately let out a shout and ran around in excitement. "Wow, so good to hear from you again. How is it going over there since you forgot me?" Mary asked. "Well, I'm back in Nigeria." "Where are you? I've missed you so much." Her heart raced. They reconnected, and to Bobby's luck, Mary was still single. Their love reignited as though no time had passed. The day she finally met his mother, Uloma, she knew she had a hard nut to crack. The woman's expression was stiff, her sharp eyes scanning Mary from head to toe as though measuring her worth. Mary greeted her politely, bowing slightly in respect, but the older woman only gave her a nod. The tension in the air was thick, but Mary refused to be discouraged. She was determined to make Bobby's mother like her. "I've heard so much about you," Mary said with a smile, hoping to ease the mood. Uloma sneered. "I'm sure you have," barely looking at Mary as she focused on her magazine. Bobby, sensing the awkwardness, placed a hand on his mother's shoulder. "Mom, Mary's an amazing woman. I know you love her once you get to know her." Uloma smiled tightly, but said nothing. Mary remained polite, offering her refreshment and engaging her in conversations about family and traditions. Uloma responded in short, unimpressed sentences. A year later, she and Bobby were married. Despite her mother-in-law's cold attitude, Mary was happy. Bobby treated her like a queen. She no longer had to wake up early to jump from one bus to another. Bobby drove her to work every morning and sometimes surprised her during lunch breaks. A few weeks after their wedding, Bobby stunned Mary with a big surprise, her own drugstore. She couldn't believe it. "This is for you, my love," he said, handing her the keys. Mary's eyes filled with tears. "Bobby, I don't know what to say." "Say you love me," he teased, pulling her into a hug. Her life felt perfect until the afternoon Bobby's mother paid them an unexpected visit. It was a quiet Sunday, and Mary and Bobby were lounging by the pool, enjoying the warm breeze. They turned to see Uloma standing at the entrance. "Mom, what a surprise. We weren't expecting guests," Bobby said, hurrying to give her a side hug. "Good afternoon, ma," she greeted politely, while taking the bags inside. Mary hurried to the kitchen to prepare a meal, knowing Uloma wouldn't eat food bought from outside. While she was away, Bobby confronted his mother. "Mom, you know you shouldn't be here, right? I just got married for Christ's sake, and I need alone time with my wife." Uloma sneered. "Alone time? Very soon you will disappear to the States and leave me here. Besides, your house is my house. You can't tell me when to come and when to leave. You prefer to stay alone with this gold digger, but not with your mother." Bobby's expression darkened. "Mom, watch your mouth. That gold digger is my wife, and you will respect her or leave." His voice was firm as he pointed toward the door before walking away. Mary heard the raised voices and followed Bobby to the room. "What's the problem?" Bobby sighed and forced a smile. "Nothing to worry about, my dear. Sorry for disturbing you." Mary wasn't convinced. "Are you sure?" Bobby pulled her close. "You know what? Let's go make Mom's meal together." Unfortunately, Bobby's time in Nigeria ran out. His company needed him back in the States. It broke Mary's heart, but he reassured her that he would soon be promoted to a management position that allowed him to work remotely. Days later, at the airport, Mary and Uloma waved as Bobby boarded his flight. Mary held back tears, hoping the days would fly by quickly. Back at home, she retreated to her room, still feeling sad. She dozed off, only to wake up hours later to miss calls from Bobby and her mother-in-law. Panic gripped her as she rushed out. "Mommy, I'm sorry, I was sleeping and my phone was on silent. What do you need?" Uloma, seated on the couch, continued typing on her phone, ignoring her. "What will you have for dinner, Ma?" Mary asked. "Pounded yam and egusi soup," Uloma said. Mary hesitated. Alright, Ma, but I'll quickly go to Becky's cuisine along the express. They make the best local dishes." Uloma raised her head. "Are you an interior decoration in this house? Why not cook it yourself?" Mary smiled nervously. "Ma, I can, but it's already late and I have to prepare things for a client tomorrow." Uloma's eyes darkened. "Hey," as she clapped her hands together. "Let this be the first and last time you give me options when I tell you what I want. In that slum you came from, do you go to Becky's cuisine when your father is hungry? Anyway, that's if you've even entered there before. Look, I don't care what job you have. Go and prepare my dinner." Mary, feeling guilty, apologized as she walked to the kitchen, her heart heavy. Days later, Bobby called. "My baby girl, how's your health today?" Mary sighed. "I'm better, but I still feel dizzy and weak occasionally." "You may be pregnant too," Bobby teased. Mary smiled. "I'm not. I'm just stressed. Hope my mom isn't adding to the stress." "No, Bobby. Mommy is the best. I'm even grateful for her company," Mary lied. But Bobby wasn't convinced, but he let it slide. "You are not serious. Mary, that's not right at all. A good mother-in-law should treat you like her daughter," Grace, Mary's friend, said one day as they discussed in her drugstore. "But I also think that she's probably treating me this way because of the mindset she has about people from poor backgrounds. I want to prove to her that I'm different," Mary replied. "Better go and find a house girl for your mother-in-law. You can't continue this," Grace cancelled. Mary ran tests and confirmed she was 2 months pregnant. She called Bobby, who was overjoyed. While they were still on a video call, Mary suddenly heard Uloma scream her name. "Who is shouting?" Bobby asked. Mary forced a smile. "I don't know. It's maybe the TV. Let me go check." Mary stood at the foot of the stairs, staring at her mother-in-law, Uloma, who was seated in the living room with a frown on her face. "Mommy, please, were you the one screaming my name?" Mary asked politely, but before she could finish talking, Uloma stood up and slapped her hard across the face. "Mom!" Mary cried, holding her cheek in shock. "You are very stupid," Uloma barked. "Who do you think you are that I would have to scream like a mad woman before you calm down?" "I'm sorry, Ma," Mary said, her voice trembling as tears welled up in her eyes. Uloma clicked her tongue in irritation. "I beg, my friend is lost, trying to find her way here. I want you to go down the street and look for her." Mary wanted to protest that she was still feeling dizzy from the fever that had been troubling her, but she knew better than to argue with Uloma. Slowly, she turned and walked toward the door. As soon as she stepped outside, the world around her started spinning. She blinked rapidly, trying to steady herself, but the dizziness grew worse. Her vision blurred, and before she could react, a loud honk filled the air. The impact threw her off her feet. Pain exploded through her body as she hit the ground. The driver screamed as he rushed out of his car. Seeing the blood from her forehead, he quickly lifted her into his car and sped to the hospital. Mary's eyelids opened and a sharp pain shot through her head. She groaned softly, blinking at the unfamiliar white ceiling above her. "You're awake," a calm voice said. Mary turned her head slightly and saw a man in a white coat standing beside her bed. "Who am I?" she asked. "You're in the hospital," the doctor said gently. "You were knocked down by a car. Do you remember?" Mary's heart sank as the memories came rushing back. "My baby," she whispered, her hands moving to her stomach. The doctor's expression became serious. He pulled the chair closer and sat beside her. "Madam, I'm very sorry, but you lost the pregnancy." No, no, not my baby, she cried, shaking her head. I'm so sorry, I'm very sorry, ma, the doctor said, his voice filled with sympathy. Hours later, Grace arrived, her face filled with worry. Mary, she exclaimed, rushing to her bedside. She hugged her tightly. Oh, Mary, don't tell me that. I'm so sorry. She held Mary's hand tightly. Mary paused, wiping her tears. I don't even know how to tell Bobby. Grace sighed, rubbing her back. Don't worry. After a few days, Mary was discharged. Alright, let me go attend to my kids. I'll see you later, she said as she hurried off. Mary sat on her bed, staring at the wall. How would she tell Bobby? Her heart ached, just thinking about it. She picked up her phone and dialed her father's number. My Mary, his voice boomed with joy. My beautiful daughter, how are you? Hearing his voice made Mary emotional. She burst into tears. My child, talk to me, he said gently, waiting for her to finish crying. Between sobs, Mary poured out everything. Her mother-in-law's wickedness, the miscarriage, her loneliness. Daddy, I don't know what to do, she cried. Her father sighed heavily. My dear, I understand your pain and I'm so sorry. You'll be fine, okay? You'll be fine. Just try and be a strong girl. But listen to me. Fighting your mother-in-law will not bring peace. Just try to win her over with kindness. It may be hard, but God will see you through, okay? You'll be fine. They spoke for a while, and by the end of the call, Mary felt a little lighter. That night, as she lay in bed, Bobby's call came in. Baby, how are you? Mary hesitated, biting her lip. I'm okay. Are you sure? Bobby pressed. You sound different and you look stressed out. Alright, I know my mother. She drove my brother's wife away with her wahala. I don't want you to cover for her. If she's troubling you, please tell me. Mary forced a smile. I know, but she's not troubling me. Maybe not yet. She didn't have the heart to tell him about the miscarriage. She just wanted him to be happy. The next morning, she prepared Uloma's breakfast and took it to her room. But as she placed the tray on the table, Uloma hissed, Madam, so you finally decided to come back? I'm sorry, ma, Mary said quietly. Uloma sipped her tea and murmured, It's your wickedness that sealed your womb. Unfortunately, Mary heard it, and it broke her. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked at Uloma. What is it? Uloma asked. Am I lying? Mary couldn't take it. She ran out before she said something she would regret. From that day, Uloma made it a habit to call her barren at every little mistake. That night, Bobby called. What's wrong? He asked, concerned, feeling his tone. Tears fell from Mary's eyes. She couldn't hold it in anymore. Bobby, I lost our baby. There was silence. Then, no, this is not happening. Oh my God, Mary, I'm so sorry. Mary cried harder. Maybe I was just careless. Maybe I did something wrong. No, don't say that. Shh. No, baby, don't say that. It's not your fault. I'm the one to blame. Maybe if I was home, I would take good care of you and this wouldn't have happened. You don't have to blame yourself. They cried together over the phone, sharing their pain. It was Mary's birthday a few weeks later. She was so busy that she forgot. She was at the pharmacy during the day when a young man came with a little box, asking if she was Mary Dimgba, and asked her to sign. Afterwards, he asked her to follow him outside. All the while, Mary was puzzled, still trying to understand what was going on. The young man led her right in front of a pharmacy to a brand new black sports car, and in front was a large card with a voice recording of Bobby. Happy birthday, my world. She screamed and knelt down, tears welling up in her eyes. The young man smiled and showed her into the car. She kept screaming, My own car! Wow, Bobby! Her workers cheered, taking pictures. She drove home in her new car, bursting with joy. But when she told Uloma, the woman only hissed and went to bed. The next morning, as Mary served Uloma breakfast, she noticed her hands shaking. Mommy, what's wrong? Mary asked, looking worried. Then suddenly, she started convulsing. Jesus, Mommy! Mary panicked and immediately rushed her to the car, speeding to the hospital. The nurses rushed her inside. Mary, trembling, called Bobby. Bobby, Mommy is sick and she's not talking. Oh no, Bobby groaned. I'll call Chooks now, hold on. Uloma was diagnosed with a stroke and became bedridden. Chooks, her eldest son, refused to visit or call. Mary had no choice but to take care of Uloma alone. One day, Grace visited. "What did you say is wrong with that witch?" she asked, laughing. "Grace, it's not funny. She's really sick," Mary sighed. Grace paused. "Let her suffer, beg." Months later, Bobby finally returned home. Mary was overjoyed. She threw herself into his arms, sobbing. "I'm so sorry for leaving you to handle everything," Bobby said. Together, they moved Uloma to a rehabilitation center. Slowly, Uloma recovered. One day, as Mary visited, Uloma whispered, "Mary, please forgive me." Blinked in surprise. "It's okay, ma." Tears filled Uloma's eyes. Mary squeezed her hand. "I'm just glad you're getting better." Mary gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, and Uloma was overjoyed at the birth of her grandson. She had changed, and Mary could see the love and gratitude in her eyes. And so they lived happily together until Uloma died a year later.